I'm 17F, and I've just nuked my relationship with my mother in the most spectacular way possible. I'm still processing whether I'm a complete monster, or if I finally stood up for myself after years of being the family disappointment. Reddit, help me figure out which one I am. Some background. I live with my mom, Linda, 45F, stepdad, Tom, 48M, and my older sister, Jessica, 19F. My parents divorced when I was 8, and mom remarried Tom when I was 12. Jessica is from mom's first marriage too, so we're full siblings. Jessica has always been the golden child. Like, aggressively golden. 4.0 GPA throughout high school, valedictorian, full scholarship to an Ivy League school, student body president, captain of the debate team, volunteer at the local hospital, plays violin at a near-professional level. She's basically perfect at everything she touches. I, on the other hand, am not Jessica. I'm a solid B student. I'm in theater instead of debate. I play guitar in a garage band, and I have purple streaks in my hair that mom tolerates but clearly hates. I'm not a bad kid. I don't do drugs, don't drink, don't get in trouble, but I'm also not winning any awards or making my mother look like Super Parent of the Year. Growing up, I always felt like I was living in Jessica's shadow, but I told myself it was normal sibling stuff. Mom would gush about Jessica's accomplishments at family dinners while giving me perfunctory, "That's nice, honey," responses when I talked about getting a lead in the school play or my band booking a gig at a local venue. When Jessica graduated as valedictorian, Mom threw her a huge party and invited everyone we knew. When I got the lead in our school's production of Hamilton last year, Mom said congratulations and asked if it would interfere with my grades. But I convinced myself I was being sensitive. Mom loved us both, just differently. Jessica was the academic achiever, I was the creative one. We each had our place. Then, 3 weeks ago, everything changed. It was a Tuesday evening, and I was in my room doing homework when I heard Mom's phone ring. She was downstairs in the kitchen, and her voice carries, especially when she gets animated. I could hear her talking but wasn't really paying attention until I heard Jessica's name. "Oh, you should see the internship Jessica got at the law firm," Mom was saying. "She's only a sophomore, but they're already talking about fast-tracking her for summer associate positions. I swear, that girl is my pride and joy. Everything she touches turns to gold." I felt the familiar pang of being the non-golden child, but that was normal. Then Mom kept talking. "Meanwhile, I've got Emma down here dyeing her hair purple and playing guitar until all hours. I love her, but God, she's such a difficult child. I don't know where I went wrong with her." I froze. Difficult child? Where she went wrong? "Jessica has never given me a moment's trouble," Mom continued. "Straight A's, perfect behavior, already planning law school. But Emma, I spend half my time worrying about her, and the other half trying to figure out how to motivate her to be more like her sister." I crept to the top of the stairs to hear better. I know I shouldn't compare them, but it's hard not to when one daughter makes you so proud and the other one, well, at least Emma's not on drugs or pregnant, so I guess there's that. My aunt said something I couldn't hear, and Mom laughed. I keep hoping Emma will grow out of this artistic phase and focus on something practical. Jessica was talking about maybe mentoring her, helping her see what real success looks like. Maybe if Emma spent more time around Jessica's achievements, she'd be inspired to aim higher. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. The worst part is, Emma has potential. She's smart when she applies herself. But she's so stubborn and determined to do things her own way. She'd rather get a B in some drama class than an A in AP history. It's like she's actively choosing to be mediocre. Actively choosing to be mediocre. The words echoed in my head. I just hope she figures it out before it's too late. I can't have another child who doesn't live up to her potential. One successful daughter and one disappointment would just be heartbreaking. I quietly went back to my room and closed the door. Then I sat on my bed and cried for about an hour. Disappointment. That's what I was to my mother. Not the creative daughter, not the free spirit, not the kid with different strengths. Just a disappointment. But here's the thing that really got me. Mom had been having this conversation with her sister while I was home. She wasn't being discreet or private. She was just talking about me like I was a problem to be solved rather than a person to be loved. I spent the next few days in a weird fog. Every interaction with Mom felt fake. When she asked about my day, I wondered if she was mentally cataloging new ways I was disappointing her. When she said she was proud of me for getting an A on a test, I wondered if she was really thinking about how Jessica would have gotten an A+. The worst part was looking at Jessica differently. She had no idea what Mom had said, and it wasn't her fault that she was perfect. But I started noticing things I'd never paid attention to before. How Mom's face lit up when Jessica called from college. How she immediately shared Jessica's achievements on Facebook, but never posted about my theater stuff. How she introduced us to people. This is Jessica, she's pre-law at Yale, and this is Emma, she's in high school. I felt like I was seeing our family dynamic clearly for the first time, and it was devastating. Then last Thursday, I made a decision that I'm still not sure was right. I was using Mom's laptop to print something for school when I noticed she had a voice memo app open. Apparently, she'd been recording her phone calls lately, something about needing records for a work dispute. The conversation with my aunt was right there in the list of recordings, dated from 3 weeks ago. I don't know what came over me. I clicked on it. Hearing it again was somehow worse than hearing it live. Mom's voice was so casual, so matter-of-fact about my failings. She talked about me the way you talk about a broken appliance you're trying to fix. But this time, I heard the parts I'd missed from upstairs. My aunt had apparently asked if I was doing okay, and Mom had said, "Emma's fine, I guess. She's not Jessica, you know?" Sometimes I wonder if I was too lenient with her when she was younger. Jessica always had structure and expectations, but by the time Emma came along, I was tired. Maybe that's why she turned out so different. Like I was defective. I feel guilty sometimes, Mom continued, because I know I'm harder on Emma than I was on Jessica. But Jessica never needed to be pushed. She was self-motivated from day one. Emma needs constant supervision, or she'll just drift along doing the bare minimum. Then came the part that really destroyed me. I love both my girls equally, of course. But if I'm being honest with myself, Jessica is the daughter every mother dreams of having. Emma is the daughter that teaches you patience. I sat in front of that laptop crying until I heard Mom's car pull into the driveway. Then I did something I've never done before in my life. I copied the audio file to my phone. I didn't have a plan. I just knew I couldn't pretend I'd never heard it. I couldn't go back to family dinners where Mom praised Jessica's latest achievement while barely acknowledging mine. I couldn't keep letting her treat me like a disappointment while maintaining the facade that she loved us equally. For a week, I carried that recording around like a weight. I'd listen to it sometimes, just to make sure I hadn't imagined how cruel it was. Each time, it hurt just as much. Then came the family barbecue. Mom's side of the family was having our monthly extended family gathering at my grandparents' house. All the aunts, uncles, cousins, about 20 people total. These gatherings always followed the same pattern. Jessica would call in from college, and everyone would crowd around the phone to hear about her latest accomplishments. Then I'd get the obligatory, "How's school, Emma?" before the conversation moved on to more interesting topics. This time was no different. Jessica called right on schedule, and Mom put her on speaker so everyone could hear about her internship, her grades, her plans for law school. Everyone was so impressed, so proud, asking questions and offering encouragement. Then Jessica had to go, and Mom hung up with her usual, "Love you, sweetheart. So proud of you." My Aunt Carol looked at me and said, "And how are you doing, Emma?" "Still doing the theater thing." Before I could answer, Mom jumped in. "Emma's doing well. She's finding her way." Finding her way. Like I was lost. "She got the lead in the school play," Mom added, but her tone suggested this was about as impressive as getting a participation trophy. "That's wonderful," Aunt Carol said. "You must be so proud, Linda." Mom smiled, that tight smile she uses when she's being polite. "Of course. We're proud of both our girls." Both our girls. But I knew which one she was actually proud of. Something inside me snapped. "Actually," I said, pulling out my phone, "Mom has some interesting thoughts about both her girls. Would everyone like to hear them?" Mom's face went white. "Emma, what are you doing?" "I'm sharing some family honesty," I said, and I hit play. The recording was crystal clear. Mom's voice filled the backyard as she explained to her sister how Jessica was her pride and joy, while I was the difficult daughter she had to deal with. How she wondered where she went wrong with me. How I was actively choosing to be mediocre. How one successful daughter and one disappointment would be heartbreaking. The silence, when it ended, was deafening. I looked around at my extended family. My grandmother had her hand over her mouth. My uncles looked shocked. My cousins were staring at their phones, clearly uncomfortable. Mom was staring at me with a mixture of horror and rage. "Emma," she whispered, "how could you do this? How could I do this?" I repeated, my voice getting louder. "How could you do this? How could you tell your sister that I'm a disappointment and that you wonder where you went wrong with me?" That was a private conversation. About your daughter. About me. You talked about me like I was broken. I never said you were broken. You said I was difficult. You said Jessica was your pride and joy and I was the daughter who teaches you patience. You said you hoped I'd grow out of my artistic phase because I was actively choosing to be mediocre. The extended family was watching this unfold like it was a car accident they couldn't look away from. My grandmother finally spoke up. "Linda, is this really how you feel about Emma?" Mom looked trapped. "Mom, it's not. It's more complicated than." "It sounded pretty simple to me," said Uncle Mike. "It sounded like you've written off one daughter and decided the other one is perfect." "That's not fair," Mom said, her voice shaking. "I love both my daughters equally." "Equally?" I laughed, but it came out bitter. "Mom, you literally said Jessica is the daughter every mother dreams of, and I'm the one who teaches patience. That's not equal love. That's tolerating me while celebrating her." Mom started crying. "Emma, you don't understand. I was having a hard day, and I was frustrated. For 3 weeks? Because this conversation happened 3 weeks ago, and nothing's changed. You still introduce me as Emma. She's in high school, while Jessica gets the full resume treatment. You still light up when she calls and give me distracted responses when I try to share my achievements." "Your achievements?" Mom's mask was starting to slip. "Emma, getting leads in school plays isn't the same as..." "As what? As being Jessica? Nothing I do will ever be as good as Jessica in your mind, will it?" The family was watching Mom realize she was about to say something that would prove my point. "That's not what I meant," she said weakly. "Then what did you mean? Explain to everyone here what you meant when you said you wondered where you went wrong with me." Mom looked around at her family, her mother, her siblings, her nieces and nephews, all waiting for her answer. I want what's best for you, Emma. I want you to reach your potential." By constantly comparing me to Jessica? By treating my interests like they're phases to grow out of? By talking about me like I'm a problem to be solved? I never said you were a problem. You said I was difficult. You said I needed constant supervision, or I'd drift along doing the bare minimum. You said you wondered if you were too lenient with me. How is that not treating me like a problem? My cousin Sarah, who's about my age, spoke up. "Aunt Linda, I think Emma has a point. I've noticed at family gatherings that you talk about Jessica's accomplishments all the time, but barely mention Emma's theater stuff. Theater isn't going to get her into college." "I already got into 3 colleges with theater scholarships," I said quietly. Mom stopped mid-sentence. "What?" "I got into 3 colleges with theater scholarships. I was going to tell you last week, but then I heard your conversation about how I'm actively choosing to be mediocre." The family was staring at Mom now. My grandmother looked disappointed in a way I'd never seen before. "Emma, why didn't you tell me?" Mom asked. "Because based on your phone conversation, you'd probably just wonder why they weren't better colleges, or why I wasn't getting academic scholarships like Jessica." Mom's face crumpled. She knew I was right. "I think we should go home," she said quietly. "I think that's a good idea," my grandmother said, and her tone was ice cold. The ride home was silent. Tom kept looking between Mom and me like he was trying to figure out what had happened. When we got home, Mom went straight to her room and closed the door. Tom pulled me aside. "Emma, what was that about?" I told him everything. about the phone conversation, about finding the recording, about feeling like a disappointment my whole life. Tom listened without interrupting, and when I finished, he just hugged me. "I'm sorry," he said. "I had no idea you felt that way." "It's not your fault. You treat Jessica and me the same." "Maybe I should have noticed that your mom didn't." That night, Mom knocked on my door. She looked like she'd been crying for hours. "Can we talk?" she asked. I let her in, and she sat on my bed looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'm so sorry." "For what specifically?" For everything. For making you feel like a disappointment. For comparing you to Jessica. For not appreciating who you are instead of wishing you were someone else." "Do you mean that, or are you just sorry I embarrassed you in front of the family?" She was quiet for a long time. "Both," she finally admitted. "I am embarrassed that everyone heard me say those things. But I'm more sorry that I said them in the first place." "Why did you say them?" Because I don't know how to be the mother of a daughter like you." "What does that mean?" "Jessica was easy to parent. She wanted the same things I wanted for her. Good grades, college, a stable career. I understood her goals because they were my goals for her. But you want things I don't understand. You care about things I never cared about. And instead of learning how to support you, I kept trying to make you more like Jessica." "Do you really think I'm a disappointment?" Mom started crying again.
No.
"No, you're not a disappointment. You're just different than what I expected."
And I handled that badly.
"You handled it badly, for 17 years. I know. You made me feel like nothing I did mattered unless it was something Jessica would do. I know. You made me feel like you wished I was someone else. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Emma." We talked until almost 2 a.m. Mom told me about her own childhood, about feeling pressure to be perfect, about not knowing how to parent a creative child because she'd never been allowed to be creative herself. She told me about her fears that I wouldn't be able to support myself as an adult if I pursued theater, and how those fears made her push me toward more practical pursuits. It wasn't an excuse, but it was an explanation. "What about Jessica?" I asked. "Does she know how you really feel about us?" "Jessica doesn't know about the phone call. But yes, she probably knows she's my favorite. I've never hidden it very well." "That's not fair to either of us." "I know. It's not fair to put that pressure on her to be perfect, and it's not fair to make me feel like I'll never measure up." "You're right." The next few days were weird. Mom was trying to be more supportive, but it felt forced and awkward. She asked about my theater scholarship offers with what seemed like genuine interest, but I could tell she was performing the role of supportive mother rather than actually being one. The extended family situation was even more complicated. My phone had been buzzing with messages from cousins and aunts expressing support, but also with family drama. Apparently, my grandmother had called Mom and given her a lecture about favoritism and unconditional love. Uncle Mike had sent Mom a long text about how disappointed he was in her parenting choices. But the real chaos came when Jessica called home. Someone in the family had told her about the barbecue incident, and she was confused and upset. "Emma, what's this about Mom saying I'm her favorite?" Jessica asked when she called me directly. I didn't want to hurt her, but I also couldn't keep protecting everyone else's feelings while mine were being trampled. "Jess, did you ever notice that Mom treats us differently?" "What do you mean?" "I mean she brags about your accomplishments to everyone while barely mentioning mine. She lights up when you call, but seems distracted when I try to talk to her. She introduces you with your full resume and me as just in high school." There was a long pause. I thought that was just because my stuff was more college-related and you're still in high school." "It's been happening our whole lives, Jess." Another pause. "Oh my God, you're right. I never noticed because I was getting the positive attention, but you're totally right. I didn't want to make you feel guilty about it." "Emma, I feel terrible. All those times Mom praised me at family dinners while barely acknowledging your theater stuff. I should have said something. It's not your fault that Mom decided you were the perfect daughter and I was the problem child. But I could have been more aware. I could have made sure your achievements got equal attention." Jessica called Mom immediately and apparently had a very long, Very difficult conversation with her. According to Mom, Jessica was disappointed in how I'd been treated and wanted to make sure things changed. The next few weeks have been a weird adjustment period. Mom is clearly trying to be more supportive and equitable, but it feels artificial. She's asking about my theater stuff with what seems like genuine interest, but I can tell she still doesn't really understand why it matters to me. She's been sharing my college acceptance posts on Facebook, but they get a fraction of the engagement that Jessica's achievements always got. The extended family situation has been interesting. My grandmother has been much more attentive to me at family gatherings, asking detailed questions about my theater work and making a point to praise my achievements in front of everyone. My aunts and uncles have been doing the same thing. It's like they're all overcompensating for years of overlooking me. But it also feels weird because I know they're doing it partially out of guilt for not noticing the favoritism before. The hardest part has been my relationship with Jessica. She's been trying to be more supportive and aware, but there's also this awkwardness between us now. She feels guilty for being the favorite, and I feel guilty for resenting her for it. We're both trying to navigate this new dynamic where the favoritism is out in the open instead of being this unspoken family secret. Mom and I are still working through things. She's in therapy now, trying to understand why she struggled to connect with me and how to be a better parent. I'm in therapy too, working through 17 years of feeling like I wasn't good enough. Some days are better than others. Sometimes Mom seems genuinely interested in my life and supportive of my goals. Other days, I catch glimpses of the old dynamic, the slight disappointment when I talk about theater instead of academics, the way her face lights up differently when Jessica calls versus when I talk to her. But here's the thing that really bothers me. I don't think Mom would have changed anything if I hadn't played that recording. She would have continued treating me like a disappointment while maintaining the facade that she loved us equally. The only reason she's trying to do better now is because I forced her hand by embarrassing her in front of the family.
Part of me feels guilty about that.
It was a private conversation, and I violated her privacy by recording it and playing it publicly. I humiliated her in front of her entire family and forced her to confront her own behavior in the most public, embarrassing way possible. But part of me also feels like it was the only way to make her see what she was doing. She had 17 years to notice that she was treating her daughters differently, 17 years to realize that she was making one feel like a disappointment while putting the other on a pedestal. If gentle conversations and subtle hints had worked, I wouldn't have needed to take nuclear action. The fallout is still ongoing. Some extended family members think I was justified in exposing the favoritism, while others think I went too far by publicly humiliating my mother. Mom and I are still rebuilding our relationship, and I honestly don't know if we'll ever get to a place where I feel like she truly sees me as equal to Jessica. Jessica and I are working through our own complicated feelings about being the favorite versus being the disappointment. She's dealing with guilt and the pressure of being perfect, while I'm dealing with years of feeling like I wasn't enough. So, Reddit, was I wrong to leak that recording? Was public humiliation the right response to 17 years of being treated like a disappointment? Or should I have found a more private way to address the favoritism? I exposed my mother's true feelings about her daughters, forced our entire extended family to confront the favoritism they'd been enabling, and permanently changed the dynamic of our family relationships.